Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining our show again this week. We're always happy for people like you, people that are interested in the issues that are happening in our cities. Because it is important for good government that the residents of the city and the mayors and the city council and the staff are all in communication with each other. So we'll encourage you that as you watch our show, and each week we'll have on somebody from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area, bringing us information about what are the issues that are happening in that particular city. But we'll encourage you tonight, if you're from Plymouth, be sure to take down emails and phone numbers so that you can be in contact if any of the issues that we talk about tonight really resonate with you, that are important to you. So we're glad that you're with us, and we're very happy to welcome Jim Prom, who's on the Plymouth City Council.
Thank you for having me.
Right, you're on our show for the first time.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
We're glad to have you with us. And I let you know ahead of time that I'm going to have you introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Give them a little bit of information about you and your background in Plymouth.
All right. I'm Jim Prom. I'm the Plymouth City Council member for Ward 4. And I have a background in medicine, emergency medicine, cardiovascular medicine. I've lived in Plymouth for about 20 years now on Bass Lake. And I have my wife and 3 daughters, mostly grown, so they were raised in Plymouth. And I'm this is my midway in my first term as a city council member, and I really appreciate and enjoy meeting and helping the people of Ward 4 in Plymouth.
And then I asked you to think a little bit about, because now you've been on a couple years on the city council, as you got on as a member of the city council, was there anything that surprised you that you learned along the way?
You know, there was. A lot of people have misconceptions about how everything works, and they think that, you know, like in Plymouth, council members can come in and pound the table and get things done, and in reality we are much more of an advisory and oversee the city manager who pounds the table and gets things done. And the other thing we learned fairly quickly is that it's great to have an opinion, know all the facts, but there's 6 other people that are voting, so it's important that we all are able to express ourselves, listen carefully to everybody, and then take the vote. And when we disagree, we disagree. And that's okay too. And so I thought it might be a little bit more contentious, perhaps, behind the scenes. I hate to tell you, it's not. It's not contentious at all. So that's very nice and pleasant.
That's a good plus for a city,
Absolutely,
I think.
Absolutely. And also when I hear complaints about certain staff members or something like that, a lot of people, their first reaction will be, well, I'll go down and take care of that. And what you learn is there's always 2 sides to the story. And people, you know, may only get part of the story, or might not be empathetic as to how the government works. And so explaining that to them is kind of part of my role, in addition to finding out whether or not the city can be helpful. Because we are kind of a complaint-based city in Plymouth. And if you have complaints, you know, we want to address those as completely as we can.
Definitely.
And if you don't have any complaints, then we kind of stay out of your way and leave you alone and to do your good work. And that's kind of how we are in Plymouth.
Oh, thank you, because we're always encouraging people to get involved in your city, and kind of the ultimate involvement is when you choose to run for city council, right?
That is true. That is true,
It takes a lot of time.
It does take some time, especially when you're first starting out. Absolutely. A lot of different things to learn, and if you go in with that kind of mindset that you're going to learn a lot, then you'll do just fine. And it is good to get involved in your community.
Okay, now we'll start off with a number of issues that we kind of shared between ourselves ahead of time. And the first one we're going to do is talk about economic development initiatives. A tongue twister there. Over the past year, the Plymouth City Council moved to hiring an economic development manager, right?
That's right.
So a new thrust or a new way of doing things. It's a full-time position.
That's correct.
Maybe you can tell us about who you hired and kind of what the role of that person is.
I'd be glad to. And it very much affects my ward, Ward 4. economic redevelopment, we created a new department position and a actual board that the members sit on.
Okay.
And our great city council city manager, Dave Callister, was able to pull someone. He has a lot of experience, and so he picked Danette Parr.
Okay.
And Danette is the person that you want to talk to if you have any questions about if you want to come in and move into Plymouth as a business. A lot of people don't know that we are very business oriented. Did you know that Plymouth has the most medical device manufacturers in the state of Minnesota?
Oh, wow.
That's right. And the most manufacturing of any city in the state of Minnesota. A lot of people don't realize we have a lot of warehouses and development. And so if you want to come and move to the city, Danette Parr would be the person that you'd want to speak to. And she can help you, not only find buildings, but also kind of help you with the process. You know, commercial developers of residences, they kind of know how the city works.
Right.
But when you're a business, you kind of have to go and find out for yourself. So we created this 2 years ago because there's a number of areas in kind of Ward 3 and Ward 2, kind of on the east side, between 169 and 494, that is going to be redeveloped.
Oh, sure.
And so helping and actually going out and attracting these businesses to come to Plymouth is kind of part of her position. And we have a lot to offer in Plymouth for businesses.
Well, over several years, it really has moved from kind of a laissez-faire, hands-off, whoever comes, to where cities are actively getting involved in the process of attracting businesses.
They are, and they're getting fairly competitive with different types of incentives. Plymouth hasn't had to offer incentives before, but we will in certain circumstances, like for development. And one area that the economic development is looking at is the Four Seasons Mall.
Oh, right.
And that's in my ward.
Right.
And that's a very important issue in Ward 4.
Sure, we'll go into it in more detail a little bit later on. But maybe you could tell us also about another program that got started about the same time called Plymouth Proud, where you're working with the businesses that are already here.
Yes, and that's the brainchild of Danette Parr.
Oh, okay.
Danette and our wonderful marketing team, Helen LaFave, came up with their own branding in-house, and it's Plymouth Proud, and so they're going to the different businesses and putting that on, kind of again spreading the message, getting contacts between business and other groups, and just letting people know that, yes, Plymouth Proud means it's good to do business in Plymouth, and we're here to work with you.
So now you'd say, I think, that it's easier for businesses to come to your city because you have that focus on a specific person that can help them?
Yeah.
Well, a whole department, right?
I think it's we have a good resource there, where in the past businesses would call the city manager or somebody that they maybe knew inside the city, and they didn't really have the answers, boom, right there. And now Danette does. So we really encourage, it's really done well. We've already brought some businesses in already, Fresh Time, Goodwill, and others that is helping redevelop older businesses in and around the city.
And then the sort of a side benefit too are the jobs that you bring to your city.
That's right.
Through the businesses.
That's right. We have a lot of higher end medical device jobs. There are more people in the city of Plymouth during the day than there are at night.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we have about getting close to 80,000 at night. So there's a lot of people in Plymouth doing business. And the medical device element, of course, it's near and dear to my heart, is really neat. We have Proto Labs and other businesses that are working collaboratively with St. Jude and other bigger, larger businesses. And it's nice to have them all in that area so that they can collaborate with each other without having to get on Skype or drive across town. So it's working out very well. She's been on board for about a year now. Maybe not quite a year, but she has made a terrific difference in taking the burden off of it. We really kind of felt bad not being able to tell businesses, here's a building that might work for you, or here's a contact for you. So Danette Parr has done a wonderful job, and I hope she moves herself to Plymouth, because she comes from another city. But it would be nice. So we're very excited about that. It's going well. On the other side of it, the Economic Development, EDA, is a board that we set up with the council members acting as the board members
Right.
and president. And they'll be going over issues of TIF, tax increment financing, kind of in preparation for a process that developers will have to go through anyway, the planning process and
Oh,
the council
right,
approval
right.
process. This is kind of more on the front end of that, looking at somebody has this idea, they want to come in, but they might want some TIF financing. Plymouth hasn't had to do that in a while, ever. And so this board will act to kind of investigate and see whether or not that's
Good idea.
that's
or
a good
not,
idea.
right.
And it's not giving any sort of approval to the project. It's just looking at the financing itself. Our city manager, Dave Callister, comes from Ellers, and so he's very good with Luke
Oh,
Fisher
right.
about finance.
Right.
And that's very important.
Oh,
If you're
very
going to build
important.
something in the city, that all your books are in order.
Right.
And we want it to go as smoothly for the business as possible. And we want it to be, nice.
And then I thought we should update people a little bit on road construction. It seems like everywhere you turn, there's some construction going on. But let's start out with what's the current status on Vicksburg Lane? Because that has been under construction for a year?
It's been over a year.
Over a year.
Yep. And I'm proud to announce that one lane is open. You can drive over the bridge,
Okay.
$4 million bridge that we built over the rail line. It's open all the way up to 47. We're just finishing up on some curb issues and plants, and after we get that done, we'll open up the other lane. But it is passable now, which it does relieve a burden
Oh, it would.
that has existed now for about 2 years.
Right.
With Vicksburg Lane and 494
At the same
closed,
time.
there was a lot of traffic coming
Right,
through the other
right.
neighborhoods, and to be honest, that was kind of problematic. But Vicksburg Lane is open, and in just a week or two here, all the lanes will be open, and I think we'll be done building roads for a little while anyway. It's very nice.
Right.
Very nice.
And it'll relieve some of those neighborhoods.
Absolutely. In addition to the people who are coming across from Rogers, kind of sneaking it
Oh,
through,
right.
we're building quite a bit in that area.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more people.
Yeah.
So that'll take a lot of that traffic out of those side streets, put it down the main arterials, and we'll have peace and harmony
Right.
back in
Moving
Ward 1.
forwards.
That's right. That's right. We're very happy about that.
And then the current status on the Interstate 494 work in
They're
Plymouth?
almost done.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I know somebody actually who's one of the builders of
Okay.
that, and they are basically working on the concrete median is the last thing that they have to finish. And I think they're coming up to Bass Lake Road right now. So after they finish that out, the same thing, they just basically have to clean it up, restripe the roads. I believe all three, well, no, 2 of the 3 lanes are already open in both directions. So that was a huge project as well.
Yes.
And it'll be nice to have both of those done just in time for the snow.
Right, make winter driving a little easier
It'll make
on
winter
everybody in the area,
Absolutely. I was well overdue.
right? Now, are there any other streets or roads that are under work or getting completed than
Well,
those 2 major ones?
We always have mills and overlays on
Okay.
residences
Okay.
every year. We take different neighborhoods depending on the
Right.
whether or not they need it, and we'll mill and overlay. So
Sure.
every year we'll do about 3 or 4 different neighborhoods. And occasionally we'll have to do a reconstruct because we've had so many water
Right.
pipe breaks, water main breaks.
Right.
And we had to do one of those this year, and those aren't easy.
No,
They
that's...
have to go all the way down, pull all the clay out,
Right.
and that is, it can be a pretty miserable construction. But that one too is done. So,
right.
like I said, we're thinking let's just take a year off.
Sit back, draw a deep breath.
But I talked to Doran Cody, and he says, "Nope, Jim. We're going to be redoing Schmidt Lake Road, and again some of these other roads
Right.
that are starting to crumble or have issues.
right,
so
right.
we'll still be addressing them.
Yeah.
I'm working with the city." And finally, County Road 47 is actually
Okay.
owned by Hennepin County. And that's kind of a 2-lane road that
Right.
goes from Northwest Boulevard all the way over to 101.
Right.
And there's a lot of development there. So I think somewhere in the future,
That's going to need some
the
work on
county
it.
or we might have to
Right.
build that road out. So I would say that would be probably one of the last roads that'll have that kind of
Right.
major work done. But no, we're very pleased with our vendors.
Now, an interesting thing you were telling me about, and I thought people could be more aware of it, is that Plymouth has been adding yellow turn areas arrows to all of their stoplights, right?
That is correct.
And how is this going to improve your city, or why are you doing it?
Well, I'm very happy that we're doing it, first of all. Last year, at the end of the year, we had a little bit of surplus in our budget, and we had a list of 10 different things that we could apply that to. We could pay the debt down or lower the levy. Oftentimes in Plymouth, we'll take that small remainder, that remnant of all the different funds, and we'll, like say, pick a few projects that we might be bonding for or doing something for later. And so I did recommend the yellow blinking lights. I saw them up in Maple Grove.
Oh, okay.
And I live off of Northwest Boulevard.
Right.
And the particular side street, that red left turn arrow could leave you sitting for 3 minutes when nobody was there.
Right.
And so what we did is we implemented in order along different major thoroughfares, all the yellow blinking lights. And if the yellow blinks, if it's a yellow arrow, it means that you can proceed if there's not a car coming your way. So it did take a few months before some people kind of figured out that, no, you can't cut off somebody who's almost in. No, that doesn't, it's not a green arrow, it's a yellow arrow. But despite a few minor accidents, most people have figured it out and really appreciate that time-saving measure. Yeah. So I think we're about done putting those in. There's a couple of areas where you have 2 people turning left from one direction and 2 people from another direction. Those might not get yellow arrows because those actual lanes cross over each other. So 55 in Peony is a good example of that, where you have 2 people turning left back and forth in the same lane. So if you don't have a yellow arrow, chances are it has something to do with that. But I was glad to institute that. And I'm glad the rest of the council decided to go for that. Like
I'm sure the people sitting there waiting at stoplights are happy to see it
We've been a little sensitive about traffic in Plymouth over the past few years, so that was one of the things we did to kind of help ease the burden of the 494.
Yeah, and I've run across it, I guess, because I must have been in Maple Grove or something, but I didn't realize kind of the background, or that cities could make an effort to do that.
Yep.
That it was at the city council level that that
it
could
was.
happen.
There was, like I said, there's about 8 other projects we could do, and we'll still do those projects. They'll go in the CIP. It's just, this is something that I thought that we should do now, and some other members as well thought, you know what, since we've got roads blocked off, at least we could relieve the burden.
Now, all of our cities have been working for quite a long time on the 2017 city budget. And developing their tax levy. Maybe you could talk first about what are the stages that the city council goes through during a year as they're determining what the budget is going to be, and then ultimately what the tax levy will be.
Sure. It's a multi-stage, multi-meeting process where the staff starts it out. They look at the current budget, they look at their needs and areas of expansion, and then they kind of develop a general budget. We'll have several study sessions where we'll go over the budget and we'll look at areas where we might want to increase something, possibly even decrease something. Look at the different funding levels and make sure that everything's in order. And then we start with a number of the levy increase because the city's growing. So we have more people coming in, we have more roads to take care of, and there's going to be a little increase. And like I said, our finance team is great. Dave Callister and Luke Fisher and Jody Bernstein, they really did a wonderful job of trying to keep everything as minimal as possible. But so we basically added inflation. Inflation, everyone has to get a little bit of a raise. And then also this year we looked at public safety. And Marge Beard and a few of the council members really felt it important that we kind of beef up our public safety. And it's not just the police, but the fire as well. Because we're expanding and because the city should be completely built out in the next 8 years, we want to make sure that we have the right response time. And it's getting tough. We're not the only city to experience this, but with the volunteer firefighters, they're kind of pulled in 2 directions. So they have full-time jobs, they're doing this volunteer, and because of that, we're not necessarily able to get everybody there as quickly as we want to. So we added a few full-time positions. and that'll augment the system that we have now, in the hopes of bringing that early response time quicker. And especially in my ward, that's important. I don't know what it's about my ward, but we have some fires at night. And of course, at night we want the quickest response time to a fire, as that's kind of potentially dangerous. So I know statewide, I read in the paper that the fire incidences are going down. That's terrific. You know, most of us are being smart, but that really was kind of the increase that we added. Everything else pretty much stayed on course. So we started at a 5.2% increase, and they were able to whittle it down to 4.9. And what that means is a 4.9 increase is a 4.9 increase in the amount that we're going to spend.
Right.
And a lot of people think, well, if that's a 4.9 increase, that means my taxes are going up 4.9%. And so, no, it doesn't. That's distributed evenly across the businesses and houses.
Right, both.
The amount is. So everyone's doesn't go up 4.9. That would bring in a lot more money. It's basically, we're adding more houses. So, if you have a $300,000 house, it might go up $18 this year. And if you have $1 million home, it might go up $50 or more. Business is about the same. And of course, we always have to say this in Plymouth, we're only 20% of your property tax bill.
That's
and we really want people to take a look. You know, the biggest bite out of our property tax bill is the school district, Hennepin County, and then there's a few other areas, Met Council, that'll also take a bite out of it. So we're a very small bite, about 20% of your bill.
Oh yeah, I think it's important for people to be aware of that, because it's sort of the city is the most visible place.
It is.
When you're thinking of taxes, right?
Absolutely. It's the guy you can go to. You go to your city person, and we do our best to try to keep it as low as possible, but we are expanding services. We are adding people. Public safety is very important. Mike Goldstein has done a fabulous job. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we actually merged the two departments together last year.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
Yep, we merged fire and police. So Mike Goldstein now, who grew up in the area, went to Zachary, went to Armstrong, chief of police, is now the director of safety. And so he'll oversee both the fire and the chief and the police. We hired Roger Coppa as our new fire chief, and the idea is that they'll work together more. And that's kind of a combination of things. So those two things impacted our budget. The budget's now been basically approved. Well, it's not been. I think we've taken our final vote on it. If not, we'll take it in 2 meetings. We'll take our final vote. When you come out with a levy, you cannot increase it. So we could.
In September you have to say this is the most.
This is the most. 5.2 is the most we'll spend, and then we brought it down to 4.9. But yeah, it's not everyone's happy about their taxes. We get that, but you have to look at who's spending them and how it's spent. And I think
because you're sort of weighing and balancing what are the needs that people want to have happen.
Absolutely, people are requesting good parks, public safety, good roads. Well, you know what? That's what the money goes to. So they've done a fabulous job with that. And in addition to that, our finance team created a 10-year plan showing all the different things we're going to do over 10 years. So we can basically keep our levy flat, or maybe 3 to 5%, unless something catastrophic happens. And it's a really neat tool. It's one of the most impressive models that I've seen, because in finance, unlike the weather, it's a lot more predictable. If you need to spend $30 million all of a sudden, you can plug that number in. There's really not a lot of margin for variances of unknowns. So those two combination of things were really big this year in the city of Plymouth, and I think they're going to work out well. They're going to keep us on that same fiscal management that we've had for at least 30 years now. Yeah, so we're very happy.
Well, and like your bond rating is very high, so
AAA.
People reflect that you're doing a good job, and that's what people, I think, really want. They want to know that you're doing an efficient, careful job with the money you give them.
That's what people want. And you can complain about what's happening on the national scene, and I'm getting in line with you. I'm in line with you, but that is the way that our government was set up. It was meant to be closest to the people. And if only we could do more of that, you know.
Right,
That's
right.
the way it is.
And then when we were talking before we started the show here, I was sharing with you that how much I enjoyed reading your, what's it called, City's Financial Report that you do once a year? Mm-hmm. So that if anybody's from Plymouth out there, you might want to look on your website and look under City Financial Report and pull it, because that was mailed to everybody,
Yes,
right?
we send out 4 mailings
Right.
a year, and each of the 4 mailings a different quarter.
Right.
One's on finance, one's on the environment. There's 4 different ones, so they can get that online.
Right.
Absolutely. If they haven't had it at their door already.
Right. I mean, they probably have got it, but if you're getting concerned
It's
about...
amazing how much people throw away these days, if you know what I mean.
Right. But it did such a good job of pointing out where is this money going to
Right.
in a simple, clear way.
Right.
And saying, okay, this is how, here's all the services you're getting from the city.
Yep.
This is, if your house is this
Yep.
price, this is what you're going to pay for it.
Yep. Try to be as transparent as
Right.
possible. And I think that's really helped a lot, because we don't have a lot of conspiracy theorists coming in and you're
right,
wasting
right.
this, you're wasting that.
Right.
And they really don't get very far. We're very transparent. I think most of the cities are
I
probably
think
going
they
to
are.
move in that
I
direction
think
if
they
they're
are.
not already.
But I
Yep.
just wanted to share with you that I thought, wow, what a good publication for people. And just to highlight it to the people out in
I
Plymouth
agree.
that you have that available.
Yeah. Yep. Our communications team
Right.
does a fabulous job with that, and they'll still mail them out.
Right.
You'll still get them every quarter.
But then people that are really interested can go to probably your first meeting in December, which is when you'll have a report on this budget for next year, right?
Yep. People are always welcome, and that's the great thing about
Right.
the website. You can go on the website, you can see minutes from the last
Right.
meetings, you can watch the last meeting, you can pull up all these different mailings that we
Right.
send out. You can sign up for Plymouth Alert, which is something else we instituted this year.
Yeah, because that's kind of a new area that if you want to be advance notice about certain things,
Yep.
you can do it on your website.
Sign up for Plymouth Alert.
Right.
And now on your text or your computer, it's a pretty neat little system. If there's a police emergency, 5 blocks from you,
Right.
we can actually target an area and send out an alert. And so it's a great way of communicating.
Right.
Because when you hear the helicopter or you hear the
What's happening?
sirens,
What's
we did
happening?
have a shooting last year.
Oh, right.
And so those people, those neighbors can be notified. And I signed up. Yep.
Well, I want to thank you
Well,
very
thank you
much
very much. I
for
appreciate
sharing
that.
all this information about Plymouth
Glad to help.
with me and with our audience out there. And we'll encourage you to tune in next week for part 2's issues. And remember that if any of these areas resonated with you and you live in Plymouth in Ward 4, contact Jim Prom or contact your mayor or city council people. We hope you'll join us again next week. Bye.